Paul Seegert's with us. How you doing, Paul? Thanks for being with me.
Doing great. Nice to talk to you again.
Likewise. Hey, lots going on in the world of HR, and how do we manage the COVID thing, the impact? We saw that a lot of employers who had already maybe started down the pathway of complying with the mandate after it had been announced might have partially vaccinated people. I know I do as a healthcare employer. What are we going to do? Some people got one shot and they haven't gotten the second shot, and I don't know what's going to happen. What are you seeing in the topsy-turvy world of HR and COVID?
Well, it's been a really fast-changing environment, of course, largely because of confusion added in from a top-down approach or the OSHA approach. Before that happened, if we'd had the same conversation before the administration announced the OSHA mandate route that they were attempting, we would have told you, and there were lots of surveys out there that were supporting it by the Society for Human Resource Management and others, that 85% of employers that would have been affected by that mandate were already on track to have some sort of a policy in place. And I think we were seeing some positive things with that, in that employers, one size doesn't fit all. I mean, you know very well, being in managing a small healthcare facility versus a large facility, staffing crises can be very different. Geographically, they can be very different. So Kettering Health in Ohio, as an example, they were allowing for prior infection with COVID to be an exemption because of natural immunity, so that they wouldn't end up being unable to staff their facilities. And then the OSHA announcement happened, and these 85% of employers that were saying we are going to put in a policy that works for us said we are going to put it on hold, largely because they didn't want to invest the time and the resources and all that HR effort to put something in only to have to scrap it or change it because it didn't match up with whatever OSHA came out with. So that ironically slowed everything down, and then the Great Resignation had kind of picked up steam, and now employers in all industries are in about the toughest hiring environment they've seen in 15 years. Yeah. And the divisiveness kind of showed up in some of these mandates. And today, SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management, again put out, just as recently as late December, they put out the findings of another poll. Only 18% of employers have a mandate in by the end of this past year, when 85 said they would have. And only another 7 say they will, no matter what happens in the courts. And the balance, 75% say they either aren't going to do it no matter what, or we're going to wait and see what happened in the courts. Yeah. So I think we're going to end up with a very small percentage that do.
Right. Well, it's been an interesting time to watch what the Supreme Court was going to do. I think even, honest brokers of legal analytics said, well, maybe Medicare under the statutes, CMS has the right to tell healthcare facilities to, quote, protect their patients because they're designed to protect the safety and everything. I don't know whether you're really protecting the safety of the patients if you already further, decimate an already shortened workforce. Absolutely. And there's no one there. Would you rather have someone to meet you at the emergency room door when you're having an MI or a motor vehicle crash or really bad COVID, or would you rather have an unvaccinated someone there? I mean, that's the reality in certain places. And I keep asking that question, but I can, the very self-assured people, many people, even in the healthcare world, spank me. They say, Randall, how could you do that? Well, no, I'd rather have someone there to staff my place than no one. That's been an interesting gambit, hasn't it?
Well, and they're answering the question for you and for those of us that have been willing to pose that question. And like California and some of the other places around the country now have instituted policies to allow, if you're vaccinated and you did what you were told, basically, but COVID positive, you can work because of staffing shortages. But if you're unvaccinated, you're fired. So
that's what's hilarious. You're so right. You're so right. The government has admitted the folly of its well, they think it's well-intentioned, self-described well-intentioned moves. Okay, so now we're letting people who are, sick and, put on a mask and allegedly be safe to give patient care. I mean, it's just preposterous. It's absurd. Hey, I did want to talk with you about the Great Resignation, though. I've read variable things that people have just become so burned out. I know in the healthcare industry, I've seen a lot of people, older workers, that maybe have lasted another 2 to 5 years, maybe longer. In a normal situation, they're saying, this is it. This is the final nail. I'm done. And they retire. But I've also seen people switching careers. So, I mean, you could say if you're just counting raw resignations, that doesn't necessarily people are going on unemployment. How many people of the total pie of resignation, how many are switching or trading up? How many are trading horizontally, and how many are just getting out of Dodge?
Well, those are numbers that are hard to nail down. And it varies too by generation. But one thing that I've heard consistently from employers is that they've seen this. This is a severe case of it, but they've seen things like this before. When you go back to the last time that we injected a bunch of cash into the economy and enhanced unemployment significantly, employers had a tough time hiring then too. And it's heresy again to say that by giving all this money and putting all this money into the system, we encouraged people to not work. You're considered somebody who's not following the math, but that's not what we're hearing from employers. They've seen this before. They saw it in 2008, and then as soon as the money ran out, people maybe weren't as able to refurbish a van and travel around the country for a while, and they had to get back to work. And I think we will see the same thing happen here. It's giving people enough money. I mean, even our president has been out and said, hey, this is giving the worker the power, because we're giving the worker so much money they don't have to rush out and get another job. And that absolutely has an impact on our system.
Well, it's raised the minimum wage in most states above what the Democrats couldn't do legislatively. Most states, you have to pay $18 to $20. That's last time I checked. I had to take off both shoes to count my hands and toes. But last time I figured that's more than $15, which was the rallying cry last election. And somehow they've achieved it by just handing out big unemployment checks over a year and a half, right? And so is that ever going to deflate? Is there ever a reality? Because I've talked with a lot of narrow margin by nature of the industry or just by nature of the individual business, narrow margin business owners that said, I can't tolerate this forever. I've absorbed my fair share and more of the wage increase that's required to just get people, working on the floor. I can't do this forever. But what's the hope that when that money from government dries up, that there'll be deflation in wages? I don't see that happening. Do you?
Well, it's going to take a while. I was walking out of a coffee shop locally to me, and across the street is a tire store, and they have a banner out in front saying a $5,000 signing bonus, the same thing at fast food restaurants in my community. I mean, that's what we've done to supply of labor. We've really hurt the supply because they have been receiving. I'm an above average earner, and my wife informed me we've been getting money because I have 5 kids. We've been getting money every month that we don't need. It's just foolishness, and it has an impact on the supply of labor.
Paul, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Exactly.
I didn't get any money because I'm an above average Werner, and I don't have any kids. The kids are out of the house. Never mind. We paid the lug for all their college and everything. You know what I mean? Never mind. But that's okay. I want equity. Darn it.
Right. Well, there's plenty of folks out there that are saying that it's financial cushion from the pandemic stimulus. That's what's giving workers. Basically, people can say, I'm going to quit and not go back for a while. I've got savings. I can consider a career change. It's anecdotal, but in our own hiring, we're seeing an uptick. 30 to 60 days ago was very different than it is today. We would put an ad up and get no responses. Pre-pandemic, we'd put an ad up and get hundreds, literally hundreds. And now it's picking back up for us, and that's the feedback we're getting.
They're talking with Paul Seegert, managing partner at PCS Advisors, and he's at Paul_C_Seegert on Twitter. Last question. Isn't this the golden age and the greatest time that I can remember in my life for a hardworking, traditional how do you describe it? Just a work-life balance person who emphasizes work more than life. If they're still out there, crickets chirping. Boy, isn't this a great time for someone to strut their stuff in the work world and get in at some rung on the ladder? Because I think you can have a meteoric rise. There is a great thirst among people who work first and live life second. And you can criticize me all you want, you psychologists out there, but there is great fulfillment in work. And I don't know. It seems like we've emphasized life more than work in much of the workforce these days. What say you?
Well, as if they're separate. They're not. One of the reasons I love what I do is because it provides for the people that I love. And I've been wait a minute.
Hang on. Wait a minute. Max, would you put this down? Paul Seegert has just done a Kamala Harris level Zen koan. I like it. Say that again, Paul. That was a Kamala Harris level. Go say that again. Say that again.
Well, part of the reason I love what I do is because it provides for the people that I love.
That's beautiful.
I've been trying to teach that to the young people that work with us for a while.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. I mean, when you have a good groove in the workplace, there's magic in that, right? I mean, it's like a second family. People support one another. They lift you up when you're down, and you lift them up when they're down. And there's just that's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and you're helping with what you do to take care of their family and vice versa. And I've been telling folks, anyone I can, through this whole opportunity, that there's always opportunity in things. And here we are at a moment where if you were to jump in, they're offering a $5,000 signing bonus or a $1,000 signing bonus down the road at a fast food restaurant. Shoot, if I was a young person getting into the workforce right now, I would go to work over there, get the bonus, and then before you know it, I'd be a regional manager over 37 of their fast food restaurants, and then I end up buying some. I mean, you have the opportunity, and I'm not advocating for fast food, but I am advocating for opportunity. There's so much of it right now because there's a lack of supply in good workers.
You're so right. Yeah. Well, when I'm doing my board exams on wellness, I don't advocate for fast food, but my God, there's nothing more than a big, juicy bacon jalapeno cheeseburger at Hardee's. Oh, wow. Once in a while.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, my wife's a holistic nutritionist, and and we got to watch what we do and all that, so once in a while I sneak one away. She just left the room, so she didn't hear this, but you got to have that once in a while. At any rate, hey, Paul, always great to talk with you. Thanks for helping us unpack this, and I think the message is, hey, there's great opportunity out there. There's always opportunity if you have the right stuff. And all that means is hard work, dedication, and, the willingness to take constructive criticism and do your very best for the company. Most companies will do the best by you. They won't take advantage of that in most instances.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, you're too important to them.
There you go. All right, Paul, and we're going to put that Zen koan on our page. Probably that was a beautiful thing. Thank you very, very much, and we'll send it to Kamala too, because she's a black belt in Zen koan, and now you're at least a green belt. You're working your way up. Thanks, Paul. Good talking with you.
Thanks.
Talk to you later.
Have a great day.
There you go. Take care. There he is, Paul Seegert.